today we are discussing how to increase your cash flow, practical tips for every budget. If you are joining us for the first time, as usual, you can put questions in the comment section and then we kind of go from there. So we're kind of building on what we discussed last week. So last week we discussed, how to pay off your debts. We went through a lot of things. If you did not watch that episode, just as an overview, we talked about, the three steps to paying off to managing your debts, basically. So 1, know your debts. 2, know your cash flow. 3, choose your debt payoff strategy, and then kind of go from there. We walked through an example as well last week. If you still have any questions from that, please post them in the comments. So today we're going to be discussing how to increase your cash flow. So last week when we talked about managing your debts, in our example, you saw how, each for the family that we talked about, at the end of the day, they had free cash flow of X amount, right? And the only way to increase your free cash flow is to either decrease your expenses or increase your income. Those are the only two ways. So increase what's coming in or decrease what's going out. So today we're going to be talking about how to increase your cash flow. So don't mistake cash flow with, income. You understand? So cash flow is just that, the cash that is flowing. So I guess we'll go right into it. The very first thing I want to talk about is what is free cash flow. You understand? Because a lot of people, I say it all the time, and I always forget sometimes that not everybody understands what free cash flow is. So I'm going to kind of talk about what free cash flow is first, and then go into how we increase it. So if you're new here, my name is Fikayo. This is Fix It Finance, and we go live every Saturday at 10 a.m. and we discuss all things personal finance. If you've missed some of our lives, just go to the live section on our YouTube page, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on this channel and this video. Okay, so first things first, what is free cash flow? You understand? Like I mentioned earlier, to increase your cash flow, there are only 2 ways you can do it. 1, you increase what's coming in, or 2, you decrease what's going out. So what is free cash flow? So in business, as some of you know, I have my MBA and I also have my CPA. So one of the biggest things that we use to assess the health of a company, or the performance of a company, is something called free cash flow. So there are different ratios and different things you can use to assess how a company is performing or how a company is doing. But one of the best measures I personally like is free cash flow. Why do I like it? So free cash flow basically looks at, the operating cash flow of a company, and then looks at what they're also spending on capital expenditures. So for example, let's say the company is in the business of selling rice. You understand? The money they bring in from selling rice, whatever is left over, also to the money they also use to buy things like, the rice processor. I don't know anything about rice production, or like this warehouse that they store the rice. Then what's left over, that's their free cash flow, right? So free cash flow is basically operating cash flow minus capital expenditure. Whatever you have left is called your free cash flow. So your operating cash flow, like I mentioned, is generated from your core business. So if you sell rice, if you sell beans, if you sell, iPhones, for example, whatever it is that you sell, that's your core business. And then your capital expenditure is, your big things, your acquiring of like things like plant, property, equipment, your long-term assets. That's, capital expenditure. So CapEx for short. So whatever is left over, like I mentioned, that's what represents, the company's ability. That free cash flow is what the company is going to be able to use to do things like pay off debt, pay dividends, do share buybacks, invest in future opportunities, future growth opportunities, and whatnot. So that's why we always want to know the free cash flow of a company, because it's from that cash, you understand, they're going to be able to do things in the future, whatever doings they want to do. Okay. So the same concept applies to personal finance. Your free cash flow, right, is cash left over after your core business of surviving. So after your core bills, your mortgage, your rent, food, whatever, and every other thing that you spend in general, that free cash flow you have left, like we talked in our example last week, is what you're going to be able to use to pay off debt, to invest, to acquire income generating assets in the future. So it's very, very important that you protect your cash flow, you understand your cash flow, and you pay attention to your cash flow. So what did I just say? It's very, very important that you protect your cash flow, you understand it, and that you pay attention to it, because it is from your cash flow that you're going to do a lot of things in this life. And if you notice, every company is after your cash flow. Now they have payments on everything. You want to buy shampoo, there's a payment plan. You understand? Spread this $20 over 6 months and pay $3 each. You understand? So everybody is trying to usurp, everybody's trying to like gain control of your cash flow. So you have to protect it, you have to understand it, and you have to protect it. Okay. So basically, don't get payments as much as possible. You understand? Now, I understand in situations you don't have a choice, and that's part of why we're here. So now that you understand how to pay off your debts, let's go into how to increase your cash flow. Okay. So like I mentioned, there's two aspects. There's the income aspect, there's the expense aspect. So increasing your inflow, decreasing your outflow. So let's talk about how to decrease outflow. The very first thing you want to do is to go through your budget. Like we've talked about, you should have a budget. Even if you don't have a budget, you should track your expenses. By tracking your expenses, I always say this, your budget will expose you to yourself. You understand? It will show you exactly what you can't deny where you are tapping your card. There's no denial in that one. You will see it clear as day. You understand? Like I've mentioned before on this channel, I've worked with people before where by the time we assessed everything, this particular person was spending almost $2,000 per month on eating out. You understand? That one, there's no denying. It's right there in the receipts. The restaurants don't lie. You understand? So if you're like that, you want to go on a budget, you want to track your expenses so we know exactly where it is the money is going. Okay. So once you've gone through that, you want to make sure you cut out unnecessary expenses. So for example, I mentioned in our case, we cut things like cable. The only subscription we had was Netflix. We had no other subscription. Things like eating out, we dramatically reduced it. So instead of going to say Starbucks, I would go to Tim Hortons. You understand? Little things like that. Or not go at all. Then things like groceries, that's one area that a lot of people overbuy. For example, in our household, how we make sure we don't overbuy for groceries. And even then, I still think we're overbuying. But one of the things we do now that has really helped us is we only go to Costco once a month. I know it sounds ridiculous. We only go to Costco once a month. We might go a second time because something we didn't expect finished and we like buying it from Costco. But usually we do Costco once a month. Then we do a grocery store like Superstore. We'll do it twice a month. And that's because we need to refill on things like milk. You understand? The eggs we buy from Costco usually last us for the whole month. So, things like milk, and some basics, those are the kind of things we might go back for. But ideally, we try not to go to the grocery stores. There are some people that go to grocery stores every other day. You understand? You're going to continue buying. You're going to always need to buy. So try and plan as much as possible your list and whatnot so you don't overbuy for groceries, okay? So that's one way. So cut out all unnecessary expenses, all the fluff in your budget. You understand? And sometimes even make it a game. So for example, let's say you cut something out, just see how long you can last without that thing. You'll be surprised how many things you have that you don't necessarily need, okay? The next thing you want to do, and this one I really like, I do this even now, even though we've paid off all our debts, I still do this. I haven't done it this year yet. And my husband reminded me the other day that when are you going to make this call, is to renegotiate all your bills and find deals on all products and services that you did not cut in the first step above. So say, for example, let's say you decided to keep your cell phone, you didn't cut your cell phone, which makes sense, obviously, in this day and age. What you want to do is you call your cell phone company and you ask them for a new deal. They're always giving the best deals to new subscribers. You understand? So I call them every year. Sometimes it might take me 45 minutes on the phone. I don't mind. You understand? And I'll call them and say, okay, XYZ is happening. This deal, that deal. I saw this deal. That what can you do for me that I'm a retaining customer? And if they can't do anything for me, I will move my business elsewhere where I will get a better deal. 9 out of 10 times, they will give you something to keep you as a customer. You understand? So for example, I tell people all the time, my husband and I, on both of our cell phones, we don't pay up to $100 a month. And we have 60 gigs of data. Yes, we don't pay up to $100. And we did not pay for the cell phone. That comes from calling and sitting on the phone and saying, if you don't find me a good deal, I'm moving my business elsewhere. Because I personally cannot live in a world where I am paying more than $50 for a cell phone. It doesn't make sense, especially in this Canada. That's just me personally. Okay. So sit down with them and cut a deal as much as possible. Same thing with internet. I will sit down on the phone and say, okay, you have to find me a better deal because this person down the street is offering me this and that person will offer me that. And I'm always willing to walk away. As you know, in any negotiation, the person that's willing to walk away, chances that they get a better deal. I'm always willing to walk away. I'm not married or loyal to any of these companies because, no offense, some of them are not loyal to me. Okay, it's my money. I have to protect my own cash flow. I am the chief finance officer in my house and I do my job very well. So in your own household, be the chief financial officer and make sure you do your job well. Protect your cash flow. Okay, so renegotiate all those bills. Your cell phone, like I mentioned, internet, things like that. Be willing to switch providers, like I mentioned, even things like rent, for example. And I know in this day and age, things are a little different when it comes to housing and whatnot. But ask yourself, do you have to live in a place that it costs as much as you're living? You understand? So one of the things we did when we were paying rent, we had moved from a different city, right, into the city that we're currently at. Where we were living before, I think our household expenses were like 1,300. So when we were moving here, I'm like, this is an opportunity for us to like regroup, rebuild. So we ended up finding an apartment that cost us less than 1,000 a month. And that really helped us to accelerate things. You understand? It was a crappy apartment. I would not send my worst enemy there. But for the 1 year we lived there, we gained so much momentum. Our rent was what, $865 or $875. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, 1 washroom, and there was in-suite laundry. So we literally just kept to ourselves and we locked our doors and we stayed inside all throughout. Now, you don't have to do that. But my point is, don't be locked into a mindset of what you think you have to do or what you think you have to have. You don't necessarily have to live in a place that costs $1,500 a month. You can find someone that's cheaper, and it's a temporary sacrifice, you understand, to be able to get you to where you need to get to. Because for us, we went from spending roughly $1,300 to about $800. That massive, that increase in cash flow did a huge number for us and really helped us speed things up, you understand? Such that by the time we were done living in that place, we were ready to buy a house. You get. So again, in this day and age, one has to be very, very, very creative, Okay, I won't go into that, but let's continue in this section, and then if we have some time, I might share a few stories. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is to refinance your loans. So if you currently have any loans, lines of credit, car, whatever, see if potentially, again, in this day and age, I understand interest rates have gone up. However, if you started with a really high interest rate to begin with, even though interest rates are high, if you renegotiate, it might actually be better for you. So I'll give you an example. When I bought my very, 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 very first car, the interest rate that we were giving was 18%. You understand? It was roughly 18%, and it's because my credit was terrible. Okay. Fast forward, what I did was the very next year, it wasn't even up to a year. I renegotiated the loan and the interest rate dropped from 18% to about 7.5%, right? And then I kept the payment the same, such that more was now going towards the principal, you understand, than towards interest, because I had renegotiated that interest rate. Again, the next year when interest rates were better, I went back and I refinanced that loan again to get a cheaper interest rate. So just because you've locked in an interest rate with your provider, let's say, for example, your credit score was, 500 when you got the car. A year later, you've worked on your credit is now 650. Go back and renegotiate that loan and get a better interest rate, okay? Just because they offered you whatever percent today doesn't mean they will offer you a percentage tomorrow, okay? So shop around. You don't have to go with the same loan provider, okay? So if you have loans that can be renegotiated, things like cars, any other thing that you finance, your lawnmower, your snowblower, whatever it is, things like that. Try and renegotiate those loans and see if you can get a better interest rate. And then that will really help your cash flow. Okay. The next thing is to review your insurance policies and coverage, right? So, for example, one of the things we do, we bundle a lot of our insurance together, right? And we get a lot of savings that way. So with our current provider, we have, property as well as auto with them, as well as things like identity theft insurance and all that with them. Okay. And then we also use the discount provided by my alma mater. So, my professional association. So because I'm a CPA, I get a certain discount through this particular provider. So check. If you graduated from a school in Canada, use those discounts to your advantage. Don't go with an insurance provider that will not accept your school, for example, as a discount. You understand? So a lot of people, if you graduated from a school in Canada, chances are TD Canada would have a very good insurance, what do you call it? Insurance, what's the word? Very good insurance quote for you. You understand? So make sure you shop around. Shop around for your insurance policies, your life insurance, your vehicle insurance, your home insurance, your identity theft insurance, your health insurance, whatever it is type of insurance that you're paying for out of pocket. Shop around and see who can give you a better deal. Again, without going cheap on coverage. You understand? So what you're trying to do is to get best coverage but for the best price. Okay, shop around. Don't just take the best thing, the first thing that they give you. You understand? So for example, each year, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I personally have noticed everything has gone up when it comes to insurance. It's quite ridiculous, but I will still pick up the phone and ask them for, okay, what's going on here? Did you apply my discount? Did you do this? Did you do that? And once you have that conversation, you'll be able to know if you could potentially find some savings there. So don't just take the first offer that's offered to you. Okay, use your discounts. If you graduated from a school here, if you're part of a professional organization, find out what sort of benefits they have. You know, a lot of them will advertise to you, if you get life insurance through us, it's going to be cheaper here. So try and look into those things. If you're a dentist, if you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, if you're a nurse, if you're a healthcare aide, whatever it is, look for all those things whereby there are discounts for your profession. You understand? So for example, through my my CPA designation, one of the things that they offer, and it was something I just read recently, was that they offer what do you call it, counseling and therapy sessions. You understand? So some of you know, I lost my my dad, and as well, you know, now I have a child, I'm in postpartum period and whatnot, and I really wanted to talk to someone just to kind of, you know, get myself, you know, just to be checked and just have someone to talk to, in now that I was at home and I was not free because I'm doing work full time, taking care of a human being. But, you know, I just wanted to make sure things were good. And through my professional organization, I was able to get that for free. I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. Look into those things and try and find ways you can potentially save on things that you need through that. You understand? The next thing I wanted to talk about is to switch to a no-fee checking account. There are so many options these days. Wealthsimple, EQ, there are so many options. Find, if you're still paying for, someone like me, I personally pay for my bank account, and that's because I want to have at least one brick and mortar bank, and it's for different reasons, from business to professional association, blah blah blah. There's a reason why. But if you don't have those kind of reasons, you really should not be paying for a bank account in 2024. You understand? There's so many free ones online that will even pay you interest on top. For example, Wealthsimple Cash, right now they're paying about 4% interest. This is not an ad. I am not associated with them in any way. However, if they want to be associated, come and talk to me. I'm a fan. They have a bank account, a cash account, for example, and they also have a joint cash account. So my husband and I have a joint cash account, so both of us can see what's happening in there, and it's earning about 4% interest. You understand? So that's money that if you sat that same amount of money in a regular bank, you will make 25 cents per month. You understand? So you want to look into things like that. Switch your bank accounts. Just don't be married to any bank, especially if the bank has done nothing for you. Just because you've been there 10 years doesn't mean you have to continue banking with them. Okay. This one I like. Wait until holidays and like blowout sales to make big purchases. This is one thing me and my husband, we do, and we do it well. I can't lie. So for example, let's say we say, okay, we need a new TV. No problem. We take our time. One in a rush. We will monitor Costco, Best Buy, whoever else, and I will be watching all of them until I see the very Amazon. I'll be watching all of them. Then I'll wait. Easter holiday, I'll see the kind of sales all of them are having. I'll see the kind of, you understand? So for example, when we bought our house, we knew we were going to buy a house, right? So what we did was we waited until Boxing Day sales to buy all our furniture. We had been shopping since like October. We were just looking at everybody. There were no deals. And then Boxing Day came and we bought everything once. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. Like, wait for holidays and blowout sales and all those things. You know, Amazon Prime Day, whatever you're doing, just wait for those type of seasons before you make big purchases. You understand? So for example, we were looking for a new couch recently because our couch right now, we both hate it. And we didn't want to spend the money. So we've been monitoring. We've been wanting to buy this couch for almost a year and a half. We just finally bought it last month during Easter sales at one of the big store providers. You understand? So we don't make big purchases, or like we wait. We always watch it and we wait and then we strike. You understand? So that's another way to help with your cash flow when it comes to expenses. This one here again might be kind of obvious. Don't sign up for any new products or services that you know will steal your free cash flow. I mentioned it earlier. You understand? As much as possible, avoid payments wherever possible. Pay cash where possible. You understand? So, for example, I mentioned we just got a new couch. We could have gotten the couch since, but we didn't want to put it on a payment. So we decided to save up for it, and then we decided to strike. And because we have cash, we can buy it anytime when there's a good deal. You understand? So, anyways, that's just an example. Optimize your utility usage. You get, so for example, we in our household, I may wash 4 or 5 sets of laundry, but I'm only going to run my dryer once. If you don't make it into the dryer, you're getting hung. You are air dried. You understand? Most of my children, my baby boy's clothes, I air dry it. You understand? Just because I don't like the way it shrinks the clothes anyways. But by not using our dryer often, we save on utility quite a bit. Things like maximizing your employer benefits. So for example, we use a lot of our benefits to make purchases. So know your employer benefits. I'm always surprised, outrightly stunned. The amount of people that have employer benefits and don't know what it is or don't know what it covers. For example, me, I know every single thing, every benefit in my own and in my husband's own. Sometimes my husband doesn't even know what's in his benefits. I'm like, we can pay for this using this benefits. He's like, hey, are you sure? I'm like, yes. When we wanted to buy our Apple Watches, for example, that's what we did. First of all, I waited until Christmas sales. I remember very clearly. We waited until Christmas sales. So the Apple Watch was on sale. We went, paid cash for it, and then we claimed it because it can be claimed through health benefits. You understand? So the Apple Watch cost us $0. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. It's little things like that. Know your benefits. Some of you have drug benefits, yet you will go to Walmart, you will pick up your prescription or whatever pharmacy you use, and you will forget to claim it. That's money that could be in your pocket. Don't forget to claim your drugs, your massages, your whatever else health benefits that you use that you can potentially claim. Claim all of them. Some of you get, for example, a health spending account of say $1,500 a year or $2,000 a year, and you never use it. Why? I don't know. Please use it. And there's so many things you can use it for, especially in 2024. A lot of companies are switching, instead of just health spending accounts, they're switching to wellness spending accounts. So you can use it for everything from facials to buying gas in your car, to therapy, to, gym memberships, whatever it is you can use it for. So make sure you use those benefits as much as possible. You buy a new laptop, your company has a laptop purchasing plan, yet you will not go through the company because you don't want them to, know that you bought a laptop. That, please don't do yourself in 2024. Use it and use it well. It's part of your compensation. To the income side of things. The first thing that I would recommend, or when it comes to increasing your cash flow, and this might seem kind of obvious, but it seems very basic. Change jobs. You're underemployed or you are unemployed at the moment, you understand? Or if you're working right now and you feel they're not paying you enough, switch, change jobs. You understand? I know it sounds so easy to say, and I'm saying it, yes, because it's really just that simple. Start looking. You might be surprised what's out there. I've seen people in places I've worked whereby they would go find a different job that's their same job, or find someone that's paying more, come back to their employer and say, hey, outside they are paying this for my job. Are you willing to match it or not? It's that simple. You understand? I've had to leave jobs where I really, really like the work. I love the pay, and I love the work, and I love the environment. But the going rate in the market, I think the difference when I checked was almost $25,000 or $30,000. You understand? Of the going rate. You understand? So I was making roughly almost $30,000 less. So that was a non-negotiable. No matter how much I love you, I'm going. You understand? So it's little things like that. If you are underemployed and you know it, or if you can find a market rate, like this is in 2024, we're not what's the word? We're not taking it sitting down. You understand? So if you are underpaid and you are underpaid, find proof. Don't just go to your boss and be like, I'm underpaid. If you are like, keep records of, what it is you're doing, and you're doing it well, you're meeting or exceeding expectation, and the going rate is higher. You understand? Like, especially, and choose if you want to stay or not. But anyways, that's my first, and my first, what do you call it, as much as possible, my first recommendation: change jobs. If you know for a fact you can be getting paid better, change jobs. You understand? um Number two, change industries. So for example, a lot of folks, I know a lot of people get sucked in. Like, you kind of get, oh, okay, this is my industry, this is what I do, this is, no, no, no. As much as possible, especially if you have skills that are easily transferable, sit down and make a study of those skills. For example, I'm in the finance and accounting and business world. A lot of the skills I have are easily transferable to many different industries. So make a list of those skills, or those whatever, those skills, those talents, the experience you have, and see how you can transfer. You understand? Don't just take it sitting down and think, because, okay, you've been working customer service, that's all you know. There's so many things from customer service you can transfer into different things. You understand? So you want to take the time to actually sit down and do that. Okay. So if you are, my next point is, if you're unemployed or underemployed, let everybody and their auntie know you are job searching. Okay. So if you're unemployed or underemployed and you're actually looking for work, don't just keep quiet. Let everybody, because in this day and age, a lot of jobs are found through your network. You understand? Because, for example, if you post a job today, I'm a people manager in my position. If you post a job today, you may have 300 people apply for the position. There's no way you're going to go through 300 resumes. You understand? Right? And that's small. Though. There are companies where if you post a job today, 50,000 people, if Apple posted a job right now, I can assure you at least 50,000 people will apply. Now, how would you separate yourself from the stack? Like, from the 50,000 people, you understand? So let your network know that you're job searching. My very first job when I was fresh out of university, let me tell you how I got it. So I had moved to a new city, which was Calgary at the time, and I didn't know anybody. I only knew my roommate at the time. That was the only person I knew in the entire city. So I started going to church. So everybody in church knew I was job searching. Every Sunday, I would announce it. Excuse me, I'm looking for work. I asked the pastor for all the accountants in the church. You understand? Because I had graduated with a business degree, and I knew I wanted to pursue accounting. And I would just tell them every Sunday, I'm looking for work. If you know of anything, I'm fresh out of school. I graduated with a business degree, and I want to get my CPA. At the time, it was CMA. You understand? So everybody knew I was job searching. So by the time I actually got my job, it was someone, funny enough, someone I didn't even know at the time was an accountant, but he knew of me through other people that I was talking to, and he had seen my work ethic, in the church office when I was working, and he offered me a job without an interview, safe. You understand? And that was how I got my first job. So, if you're underemployed or if you're underemployed or unemployed, let everybody know you are job searching. If you're trying to change industries, let everybody know you're trying to do that. You'd be surprised who would have you in the back of their mind and who would actually remember you when that time comes. Okay. So don't be shy. Don't have any fear of rejection or fear of the worst thing that will happen is they can't help you. The best thing that will happen is they can actually help you and you will get the job. Okay. The next thing when it comes to the income side of things is, so that's if you're working, right? The next thing is to sell unused items as much as possible. I was going through my house the other day and I was just looking at a lot of the things I bought that I'm not using. And I've started listing them on Facebook Marketplace. You understand? Even if I'm going to need it in 3 years, I'll sell it now, then I'll buy it again in 3 years. You understand? But sell unused items. List everything on Facebook Marketplace or wherever. Anything you've bought that you're not using, like especially if it's good quality, sell it online. There are people making so much money. Just, you know what they do? Some people, in fact, I was discussing with someone the other day. Or was it someone that was telling me? I don't remember. I think it was someone that was telling me how, a couple that started, what they'll do is they'll buy stuff on Marketplace, refurbish it and resell it. And they made almost $1 million from that. Now, can you make $1 million? I'm sure you can. You just have to obviously put in the time and efforts to be able to do that. But we're not even looking for $1 million. Just give us 50. Let's start from somewhere. You understand? Let us start from somewhere. All the things in your house you're not using, sell it. All the things in your house your children are not using, sell it. go to a consignment store, go to Value Village, they'll buy it from you. Go to, there's a store, there are different children's stores, for example, that will buy children's stuff that you're no longer using that are good quality and resell them. You understand? One, it declutters your house, which is a good thing. And then two, you're able to raise some funds to be able to pay off the debt or invest, whatever it is you want to use with your free cash flow. Okay. This one I really like, and it's a little unconventional, but I like it. So rent out large purchases or unused items. So for example, this I actually saw recently while I was shopping for my son. I saw someone that was renting a particular bassinet. So this bassinet, it costs roughly $2,000. It's a very high-end boom tech bassinet. So not a lot of people can afford to buy that bassinet, but this person bought it for themselves. And now that their child was grown, they are now renting it to people at $50 a month. You understand? Or $50 a week. I don't remember. $50 a month, I think. You understand? So that is actually, it blew my mind. I was so impressed because I'm like, that makes sense. So you're done using this $2,000 purchase. Now she doesn't want to sell it because she likes it, but she's renting it out to people at $50 a month. That's money right there. You understand? So for example, you bought a super fancy snowblower that is beyond, awesome. You can rent it out to people, you understand, for different prices. And before you know it, you'll be able to raise some cash that way. So again, when it comes to increasing the income side of things, especially if you're a 9-to-5er like I am, obviously we'll talk about side hustles and whatnot soon, but like those are just some of the unconventional ways you can potentially raise funds. Okay. You can rent out unused space temporarily. So you have a basement, for example, that's rentable. You have a spare room that's rentable. Again, it's a temporary sacrifice to be able to get to an end goal. Depending on how comfortable you are, you can rent out any unused space that you're not using. Okay. The other way you can also increase your cash flow, which again is kind of where we're trying to get to, is to pay off, debt. So for example, how we talked about last week using the debt snowball, or debt avalanche or consolidation, whichever one you decide. Once you free up that cash flow, you understand, now that cash flow is available to you to do whatever you want to with it. So by paying off debt, you actually free up your cash flow too. So that's one way you want to make sure you're looking at to increase your cash flow. So when you pay, that's the quickest way to get a pay raise. You understand? So the example we went through last week, I believe they were paying like $600 and $500 for a car. Imagine if they pay off that car, that's $1,100 they just found in their budget as room. Okay, so that's part of why you want to make sure you quickly pay off debt so you can free up your cash flow. Because the whole point is to increase your free cash flow. And then last but not least, when it comes to increasing your cash flow, is to monetize your expertise or your skills. You understand? So for example, you're a nurse. You can offer, for example, nursing services. Are there things you can potentially do online whereby you can offer your services that way? Is there places you can teach, you understand, where you can teach some of the skills and expertise you have? Are you someone that's really good in math or really good in science or really good in business? For example, I'm here teaching you today. Obviously, I'm not charging, but like my point is, it's a chargeable skill. So are there skills you have? Are there things you're doing that you could potentially monetize? Any expertise you have. For example, you're a really good puff puff maker. Do a master class on puff puff making and teach some of us that don't know how to make puff puff. Very much. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the comments. Thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments. As usual, the email is fikayo@fixitfinance.ca, and we will see you next week where we will build up on a different topic. Look forward to look for the banner in on YouTube and on Instagram and on Twitter, X and Threads.